Yeah, so my name is Alexander Godbout. I recently graduated from UC Davis and I majored in biomedical engineering. Okay, so you found an alien civilization and you have to teach it science. How would you go about doing that? Well, the method that I might use is a method that Anne Moriarty from the Davis High School currently uses. You see, Anne has a very hands-on approach to teaching science. And let me demonstrate. Anne allows her students to genetically modify organisms and cause them to change colors. Now when that happens, she then takes measurements that can tell you the difference between something that is more blue than another thing, and measurements that can tell you the difference between different colors, and it puts numbers to all these things. In a word, Anne uses a spectrometer, and it's very, very effective. It's effective because students actually get data to work with. But there's a big problem with Anne's method right now, and that is these spectrometers are starting to break down. And they cost thousands of dollars to replace. They're big, they're bulky, and they're actually very, very inaccurate. So Anne came to us about a year ago to help us have a replacement for them. And this is what we have so far, if the video works. Oops. How would I play this? Excellent question. In the meantime, I did bring backups.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Assuming it works.
Perfect. All right. So now the timing for a device like this is pretty good. Just about 4 days ago, an article was published that talks about the next generation science standards. So anyway, the reason why the timing is good is because Anne's method of doing things, the hands-on method, the method that uses equipment, is now becoming a standard, a next generation science standard in particular. And just a few days ago, California, it has been published that California has adopted these standards, and it's actually being adopted nationwide. So teachers are realizing that hands-on is very good. They're now being made to use hands-on in the classroom, so now they need a device that meets that need. So our vision is to create lab equipment that teachers actually want, so that students can so students can have more hands-on laboratory experiences. In order to do something in order to make something that teachers actually want, you actually need to do 3 different things. First of all, you need to make it multifunctional. It's not enough to give them a microscope. You need to give them all sorts of laboratory equipment, such as a colorimeter and a spectrometer. So the second thing is, how do you get it out to more students? Well, to do that, you need to make it affordable for the teachers, and you need to make it very simple. Now, there's a reason why Anne came to us to solve this problem, is because she couldn't find a solution on the current market. She couldn't find something that had these 3 qualities. And so when you compare it to the current competition, we feel the niche that Anne needed to fill in her classroom. So as for the market, we want to target schools. But it turns out that schools are notoriously difficult to get into. If you want to make a cell, it's going to take about a year for the district and all the bureaucracy to approve of it. That's a very unfortunate thing. So we're looking at other markets in addition to the schools, such as home schools, such as charter schools, places where the selling cycle is a little bit quicker. But if we were to just look at the schools and just look at the teachers in those schools, it turns out there's about 1.5 million teachers in Title I schools. Those are schools with low-income students, and they also have a little bit of money to service those low-income students. The perfect demographic for a device such as this. Now, as for the price, it costs about $30 to make something like this. We think it can get a lot cheaper. Teachers start getting a little bit worried when it's above $120, so we want to aim for this sweet spot. We hope to have a subscription service so people can continue to get content from us, including add-ons that will turn this into other different types of devices. And as for our timeline, we hope to start in California and basically expand to the rest of the world over the course of 3 years. And what that would mean in terms of revenue is by 2019, we'll have around $12 million in terms of revenue. So in conclusion, the team includes me, which actually came from a pretty low-income school, and I know what it's like to I know what it's like to feel like you're being left out in the game of science. There's a CTO who has 5 years of experience in lab work. There's also the CEO who has some business skills and very strong business sense. There's Dr. Fasciati who advised us. He's a biomedical engineer and he helped us design this device. And then there's Liz Tang who has made many connections for us, very fruitful connections, and continues to help us. Thank you.
All right, so what can we as a community do to help you?
Right, so I've actually given this presentation a couple times this week, and what I'm finding is that our market is changing. But we're realizing how difficult some markets are and how accessible other markets are. So if you can help me find the market, if you know a need where this can be used, that would be immensely, immensely helpful.
I've thought about educational toys. So if something between $36 is something that many parents could afford for their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Have you talked to any educational toy stores that is really marketed to?
We haven't, but we know that there is a microscope for iPhones for in educational toys in Davis. So they might be interested. Yeah.
So one thing that wasn't clear to me as you were presenting was what phase you were in. So you just asked the question of like, help us find the markets. That to me indicates you're kind of I guess, concept a little bit, but you have a nice prototype built. So can you elaborate on where you are in the life cycle of your company? You know, have you tried to sell this, or was that more forward-looking? Like, just fill me in on where you are so we can understand your mindset.
Right. So we're still moving forward in the sense, talking to teachers, talking to Anne, who asked for this device. We're working with her. We're also working with other teachers at the high school, and just yesterday we were in West Sac showing a school there this device. So in terms of where we are, we made a product. We want to show off the product. And we want to see what they think so that we can iterate on the product to make something that they actually want a lot. So we think in about 6 months, we can get something that's market ready, that has everything everyone wants. Then we can scale on the order of thousands maybe.
So you're still in the feedback stage, which is good. That's helpful in framing some of the questions. What is some of the initial feedback you've gotten from the schools and teachers so far?
So a few positives, a few negatives. Positives is the students actually enjoy working with this. This isn't some clunky machine that's complicated, but they like taking up the smartphones. They like using it. The negative would be that there's a lot of parts. There's the lens, and you don't want a lot of parts when you're working in schools. So we think we should engineer a solution to that soon. But the teachers love it.
Has there been so I think statistically most people have smartphones now, but you also talk about targeting lower income schools. Is there any concern that they might not have a smartphone and be able to use your product in that particular market fit?
Right, so statistically 70% of high school students will have a smartphone. The nice thing about laboratories is not everyone needs to have a spectrometer. You can have groups, and that's often how it works. Groups of people work on a lab. So the way it works is as long as you have a decent amount, half or less than half of people with a smartphone, even the teacher has a smartphone, then you can do these things.
Thanks.
So there was one company in Capitalized Events that did educational robotics and coding toys. I forget the name of them.
Yeah.
But you may want to.
Yeah, I actually worked there.
Oh!
That was easy.
And then my other part was I have a friend who has developed apps for schools for human inventory systems in case of an emergency. The way he's found the most success is by letting the school districts market him for other school districts. So find a school district, dial it in, work with them to make it exactly what they want, and then the doors just swing open if they're satisfied with your product. They will advocate for you.
Right.
I'll add one more to that. In the end of February, we're doing an event for the Government Operations Agency, State of California, and the forum is Government Transformation and Innovation. They want a big innovation display that has school involvement. So I would love to have a contact name with your group so that you guys could bring out several solutions for some of the innovation things that the school is supporting to be able to demonstrate to all these lawmakers and heads of government organizations that may want to partner, or facilitate avenues that can give you opportunities.
So I have experience working both at the U.S. Department of Education, but also with the local school district. And I think, have you thought about the age range of people that could use your product? Because as I was sitting here listening to you, I want to share a story with you. My daughter in 4th grade wanted to quit school. And when I asked her why, her main response was because if it's Wednesday, 10 a.m., I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. But I made her make a list of what was the reasons, what did she want, like in her new school, because we kind of went along, yes, we'll find you a school. She also intertwined in there, can you start a school? Because I previously, in my past experience, also started a school, but for very young children, which was very hands-on. So I am a big advocate of hands-on learning.
Yes.
But she was in 4th grade. Okay, and I'm not exactly sure what grade level you're thinking of for your product, but I'm just curious if you've thought of a range of use.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it'd be K through 12 if possible. We want to make it as simple as possible. Right now we're talking to high schoolers mainly because they have the smartphones and because that's our original market, but we really should consider, all the way down even to 4th grade.
Yeah, I forgot to add, top of her list was she wanted a science lab.
Oh, really?
Wow.
4th
Well
grade.
then.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
First of all, I love the idea. The smart is just oozing out of you, and you too, Ruben. So congratulations, that's awesome. Question for you: where are you building those right now?
Right, so wherever we can. We don't have space.
I kind of had a little idea you might, because you could find yourself in a situation where you need a lot of those quickly.
Yeah.
Because this is a really good idea. Your price point is awesome, and I know you're right. I mean, I just want to say too, from the presentation I heard the other day in this one, this was awesome. That you added in there the component about how important hands-on education is, hands-on experience is very relevant to your audience, I think, anybody who's listening to this. So you could have a situation on your hands quickly where a lot of people want this. If nothing else, I like your idea too, like get it in a school district, get it in there, whatever it takes to get it in there and let them use it and give you some feedback on, do you really need to lessen the parts? Because maybe you don't. But then they'll drive it for you because they will be having that experience. And in education, typically, I think something that works spreads quickly because other teachers, right? They're close-knit community. They want to see things that work well for their students.
Can I just follow on her comment, on Lacey's comment? There are different contract manufacturers in the region who could take a product like that at a very simple level and mass produce it. So the best example I have is Pride Industries, which provides services to the disabled community, but they also offer very robust contract manufacturing, logistics fulfillment. They've done this with other companies before, I know. And they're right here in Roseville, Sacramento area.
And
So
that could be-
as you're looking down the road.
That could be another branding aspect, made in the USA.
Yeah.
We use them, they're good.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
reliable. They're good.
Excellent.
Very cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you should come.
You got a question?
Yeah, question?
I'm interested in how you're sharing with schools, and the reason I ask, I'm picturing you guys going in with like a demo lesson. Because first of all, every teacher would love to have their day planned for them, especially with something hands-on. And second, I'll show them how they use it. Like right now, I'm looking at I'm a teacher, and I'd say like, very cool. Like I can see there are probably ways that I can use it, but I'm not sure exactly what problems I'm going to solve yet. When you came in with just an hour-long demo,
Right.
a high-level instructional demo to show teacher, here's how you can use it. I bet you have to leave a lot of them in classrooms.
Yeah.
Which means you really got to focus on developing the curriculum, the age range. Is
But
it
even
going to be a
just one-
chemistry class
you're
or
right.
physics class?
You're right, but I'd start with like one. Like
Yeah.
you start with like you can plan it. You can plan 1 hour, and I'll drop off the criteria and help with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you could do
Yeah.
your beta sites, like, right, because you've got a great price point for them, so go in and do just what he said, but really have those, like, you could entice a school district if they're gonna bring it in, that you could meet them, that they could get it as your first-time users for half price, right? Once you test the model in those classrooms.
And you'll
like
learn a
you
lot
said.
from even playing that first lesson. Like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
will someone use this?
Oh, yeah.
We spend a lot of time developing a loan program because you have to convince the teachers to convince the administrators, really. So
Right.
you have to figure out, they have to have everything they need to make that convincing. And I think that's part of it, is the demo, the curriculum to go with it, and maybe even a discount if they can get the district to adopt it or something like that, incentivize. Yeah.
There's an organization, it's called like Northern California STEM or something like that, but it's, they have a newsletter that I get, and it's around promoting STEM education in the schools. So it might be interesting to connect with that organization to help spread things out. So I'll try and remember to forward you the newsletter or let you know who they are, if you don't already know who they are. Robo probably knows who they are, so.
Thank you.
Oh, and when you go do that thing, if you do go into classrooms, videotape it.
Yeah.
We get a video, make a compelling video, because you know what, social media, I know, you know, for teachers especially, because it is hard to convince administrators because they're in their own world, but parents can, you know, you can make that, triangulate that. Parents can build it on social media. Parents can get excited about it and see their students engaging in a different way with your product, so it's cool.
So Jeff just mentioned this, reminded me, we had a presenter 4 or 5 weeks ago maybe called Tap to Teach. And their pitch was basically a marketplace for teachers to discover lesson plans, products, and stuff that they can use in the school. That may be a good conversation to have as a partnership, so if you're interested, we can make that introduction.
And Laura mentioned Northern California STEM. I have some great connections with Latino STEM efforts as well. Since you mentioned Title I and, you know, you're trying to go after.
We got time for a couple more questions, if there are any left. Any more?
I,
Let me a quick comment. Don't ignore the revenue stream of direct to parent. Direct to parent revenue streams are worth thousands and thousands of dollars a month, can help fund a lot of your efforts getting into schools. And I've worked on getting into schools with some products. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. Direct to parent, direct to homeschool parents is easy money revenue stream for you. And you get word of mouth. And a great video, just like think of a Kickstarter video on Facebook showing here's the product, if you want it, come get it, type of thing, that you target market directly to the Facebook groups is a great way to create a revenue stream separate from trying to get into the schools.
Kickstarter might be a good idea too.
This would be a good Kickstarter program too.
Or some crowdfunding platform.
Yeah.
Very good idea. I just wanted to say for both presenters, Lacey and I coach them, and I love how your presentations today. I think you both did a really good job in incorporating some of the tips that we have for you. So,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good job.